Welcome to day number 4 of the internet trying to convince me that this Fireball 510 is not the best vise ever made. This one is, the record number 6. The score is 3-0 with the Hardtail being in the lead. In today's research, we are going to be looking at screws and seeing which vise has the better screw. So first thing you're going to notice is, wow, that number 6 has a very fine thread. But if you look closely, is that it's a double start. So the white marks on these two threads, that is the same thread. This is an alternate thread that's running in between that one. So let's look at the Fireball. This is called an Acme thread. Big fat honky threads versus smaller fine threads. Here's how this works. You have a cast iron surface right here, and then this screw goes in here like this. And this part of the steel pushes on this part of the casting. Metal to metal contact, just like that. Let's look at the way the Hardtail does it. We have 3/4 of an inch thick casting right here and a provision for a thrust bearing. This is a ball bearing thrust bearing. These can take upwards of 45 to 50,000 pounds of force. Remember, as this is getting squeezed together, you have a lot of friction right here. Picture like putting the brakes on your car. The brake caliper's clamping on that rotor, causing it to stop. This is the exact same way. As you start to clamp, there's more and more friction, so it's harder to turn, and you can see that somebody really had a hard time turning this. Look at the shape of the handle. They were struggling to get the clamping force that they needed. This spring right here goes on the inside, so as you back the screw off, it's pulling on that pin. So now let's look at the Fireball. This casting right here is sandwiched in between this thrust bearing and this thrust bearing, and then it's held in by this macho collar. This pin and this collar are doing the same thing. The beauty of this is that it does not drill a hole through the spindle. That may not look like a weak point to you, but I have done lots of testing, and this might shear right there when we put a lot of load on it. Fireball does not do that. This captures on the outside. There is no hole. There is nothing to cause a stress fracture of any kind. So with the thrust bearings not causing any binding force, the anti-backlash spring, and the collar that prevents any stress risers or anything in the screw, I like this design much better than this one. So just as a recap, metal to metal contact with the dynamic jaw. A little tiny pin that helps it return, and then a possibly problem because we drilled a hole into the spindle. Fireball, we have thrust bearings on the forward. When you're clamping, we have thrust bearings on the return, along with an anti-backlash spring. And then we have a big collar that doesn't add any potential weakness points to the screw. So from my engineering standing point, I would think this is a better design than this one. The score is 4-0. The Fireball Hardtail's in the lead. I want you guys to leave your comments down below what you'd like to see compared to next.